Attendance is enabled, guys. Tia, have you been a shepherd before?
No, sir, it's my first time being a shepherd.
Okay, good. So you are one. Which section?
Sir, IT.
Okay. Yeah, you are one. Any more? Any more volunteers for shepherding? Did you guys have a class just before this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is why people are getting a bit late. Um, yeah. Jatin, have you been a shepherd before?
No, sir, I haven't been a shepherd
Okay,
before.
so Jatin, you're a
I'm from
your
CS.
section? CS. Okay. Then- Okay, so Jatin is one more. Um, any other volunteers who have not done it before? Vaidic, have you done it before?
No, sir.
Okay, so and your section?
IT.
IT. Vaidic. Okay, so Vaidic is third one. Um, any more volunteers? I will pick one randomly, but I can have one more volunteer. Put your attendances, guys. So I assume there are no volunteers more than how many people have joined? Yeah, we have enough. Are there more volunteers and those who have not done it before? Shreya, have you been a shepherd before? Okay, so Shreya is one more. Shreya, your section. Akash and Gaurav, you can probably be tomorrow. Okay, IT, IT, Shreya. Okay. Okay, so I'll have to pick one randomly or okay, let me see. Uh, Akash, have you been a shepherd before?
No, sir.
Then you could be one. Can you tell me your roll number?
LIT 2020-019.
019. Okay. 019. Akash. Okay, guys. So you've got 5 people. Let's start. Any discussions from yesterday? Actually, we had to leave the something happened with my internet connection, so we had to lead the discussion in between. Would you like any more discussions from yesterday? And did we discuss the plus plus operator in your session, or the one with CS guys, CSAI guys? I'm not sure.
Sir, you
So we
discussed it a
discussed in
little.
this
Yes,
session
sir.
only.
Yeah.
Okay, so so basically, after discussing four, I have not written any questions related to that because I thought we had a discussion about it yesterday. But if you guys want more discussion, I can have it after the Anurag. Try it again. If the form you can only fill the form once. If you try again and it doesn't work, it means that your attendance was done. Okay. Uh, yeah, both people. So Tia as well as Anurag, you can. Yeah, I understand. Raining. It is cloudy here as well. Um, it's not yet raining, but yeah, in Lucknow also it is. The weather is similar. Uh, anyhow, so any queries, any questions from yesterday, or shall we start with the for loop today? Okay. So I am assuming that things got cleared yesterday. Of course, if you have a problem, you can always send me an email. So we'll start with today. Let me share my screen. By the way, this is something that I wanted to talk about. Um, I wanted the week just before midsem to be a revision week, but because I've done some calculations, and I've realized that I need around 8 more weeks of teaching, and I have 9 weeks left. So we have one extra week, so I'd probably use that one extra week. You know, in the original plan that I had, it was probably for 14 weeks or something like that. But I guess we don't have 14 weeks. Probably it's 1 week shorter this semester. So what we'll do is we'll use up the revision week towards the end sem. So 1 week before the end sem, there will be no more new content. Yeah, you'll get time to revise. But this time I will have to provide more content. That content won't be a part of the mid-sem syllabus. Okay, mid-sem syllabus will be up to whatever we do in this week 4. So that will be the syllabus for mid-sem. For end sem, before 1 week before end sem, we will start. We'll have a revision. Dhruv, do you have a query?
So when will we have our midterms?
I think the actual schedule you will get from the examination cell, but from what I understand, the week that is next, okay, I mean somewhere there, right? I mean, I think we are not going to have classes for the next week. Next week there will be classes, but the exact date I don't remember. But I guess next week there will be midsem at that time, so we won't have classes.
Thank you, sir.
It's okay, Mohit. I understand. I mean, yeah, it's okay, Mohit. Uh, so yeah, 18 to 22. Someone has written it, right? So that I think it will take up 1 week of our classes. So we won't have classes in that midsem week. So then we are left with actually 9 weeks of teaching time, and I have 8 weeks content. So we cannot afford to. We can only afford like one revision week instead of two that I had planned. So I will give you lectures for week 5. So next week we will have the usual schedule. I'll give you lectures, we'll have discussions, but that will not be a part of your mid-sem syllabus. Your mid-sem syllabus will be up to whatever we are covering in week 4. Okay. So and so we'll discuss more on mid-sem in the next week then. Okay, so we have the shepherds. Let us start from the first question. I'll mute myself. Someone has a query?
I was starting as a shepherd.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Tia. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So let's discuss the syntax for for loop at first. So the syntax for for loop is we have to do it in three parts: initializing, then condition, and then we have to give an update. So initializing meaning that's the variable. The variable we have to initialize. We can do it out of the loop too and in the loop too. And after that we have to give the condition for at which our loop will be true, like it will be not it will not get false, our loop will be true at that condition. And then we'll give an updater. It can be in subtraction, addition, anything, or it can be pre or post. Okay. So then how the loop is executed. So firstly, the all the statements before the loop are executed, and then the initialization is executed. Then our condition is checked, and the body of the loop is executed, and then our loop again goes to that updater. And in this format, our loop continues. Any query, guys? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. May I try
Okay,
once
so
explaining this?
Vedic or any other shepherd can carry on next.
Yeah, so the
Am I not audible?
you are.
Oh, okay, okay. Please carry.
So basically, we use the for loop to basically print or get an input many times, because we cannot always write scanf and then %d every time. So to get basically to repeat the things, we use the for loop. And as Tia said, was there someone saying anything? Hello? Hello?
You carry on. Nobody
Okay,
was
okay.
saying.
Okay. So in the for loop, the initialization, you basically first specify the data type, and then it can be an integer, it can be a float, and then you write, for example, int I equal to 0, and the condition may be anything like I less than 10, and then you give it an increment or decrement. So basically, it will run as many times as you have applied the condition. Okay, so any other Shepherd would want to carry on from
I
here?
need to add one thing
Yes,
in that.
I would like to.
Yeah.
In the initialization part, as you said, we have to give the data type int. So one has to remember that if you are declaring a variable in this part, it will work
Yeah.
for only the
Only
for
in
loop.
the
That
loop.
is, the scope is defined for it. So
Yes.
one has to remember that if you want to use the variable outside the for loop, you have to declare it before it.
Mhm.
And basically the for loop is used when someone knows precisely the number of times the loop has to run, and it comes in handy when one is handling arrays. There for loop is used.
Yes, so basically, let me just try to explain the flow of control as the question states. First of all, the statements before the loop will get executed. Then, as we enter the for loop, initialization part will happen, and that will happen only once, not more than that. Then the condition will be checked. If the condition is true, then the loop will means they will execute the statements inside the for loop. Now, after executing the statements inside the for loop, we'll go to the update, the update part. where the value of the variable will change accordingly. Whatever condition is given there, will the value of I or whatever variable has been taken, the update will happen, and then again the condition will be checked. If the condition satisfies, the statement inside of the for loop will get executed again, and then again we'll move to the update part. This process will continue until the condition becomes false, because obviously at a particular time, if we have given a condition, that has to become false, and after the condition become false, the statements after the loop will get executed. Basically, will as soon as the condition becomes false, will come out of the for loop, and all the statements after the for loop will get executed. I hope I am clear in explaining this.
Hello?
Can I add on to it?
Yes.
Okay, Gaurav is saying something.
Yeah. I'm coming back to the initialization step. I was asking, can we have more than one statement in the initialization slot of for loop?
Yes, we can have. We just have to separate them with the comma. We can do more than one initialization in the initialization part. All we have to do is separate them by a comma. There
Also,
was a question by Sanskruti in the chat. What if we do not give all three parts required for loop? It depends, Sanskruti, which part are you not providing it? Like if you do not give the update part, it will become an infinite loop, because whatever the initial value of the variable be, that will continue and the condition will always satisfy. So that will become an infinite loop kind of situation. Yes, Gaurav, you were saying something. I'm so sorry.
I was saying, does it run parallelly if we provide more than one more than one statements in initialization slot? Does it run parallelly, or what happens?
Yes, like suppose you have given two conditions for initialization. Suppose int I is equals to 0 and int y is equals to 0, and then you have provided two condition for the same, like I is less than some certain value and y is less than some certain value. And same goes for the update part. Like if you have provided two condition for the update section as well, all the things will run simultaneously. Like it will check the value of both variable together.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
yes, understood.
Sanskriti, you asked that is it necessary to give all three things, and it is three. Even if you give one, like you give the condition or sometimes an updater, it may run the loop. It depends on your like what the code is actually. But if all the three things are blank, like you put only two semicolons, then it will definitely an infinite loop. Did you got it?
Okay, so regarding the first question, what I tried was that I tried to see that if the update statement affects the loop or not. So I first tried I plus plus and then I tried plus plus I, but the output was the same. So it does go to the statement after the condition and then it updates it. So it really does not depend on update. No, it does not depend on update prior to the statement. Okay. Um,
Can you
anyone?
explain it again?
Okay, so what I did was that I wrote a for loop for I is equal to 0, I less than 2, I plus plus, and for this condition, see out hello. Okay. And then I tried, I wrote for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 2 plus plus I. And then I wrote see out hello. The output for both were same, 2 times hello. So that means so that means the condition ran from initialization, then to condition, and then to the statement. After that, it updated it.
So I'm just intervening, guys. So basically, the idea is that for this question, you should understand how the flow works, right? So when exactly is each statement executed? This is the idea. That is it clear to everyone that when does the initialization part gets executed? Then what happens? Then when is the condition checked? When is the updates happening? Is it clear to everyone? This is the idea.
I can try explaining it once in Hindi if there is anyone who has not understood. Please write in chat or else we'll move to the next question. Okay, Aryan. Let me try to explain it to you once more in Hindi. सो लूप कैसे काम करता है? सबसे पहले जो लूप के पहले का स्टेटमेंट होता है वो एग्जीक्यूट होता है। एग्जीक्यूट इन सेंस वो चलता है, जो भी वहाँ पे लिखा होगा वो। उसके बाद हम फॉर लूप में आते हैं। फॉर लूप में 3 पार्ट होते हैं। सबसे पहला पार्ट होता है इनिशियलाइजेशन। इनिशियलाइजेशन बोले तो उसको पहले से हम कोई वैल्यू दे रहे हैं, पहले ही उसे डिफाइन कर रहे हैं। कंडीशन एक एक कंडीशन लाइक बेसिकली कंडीशन वो चेक करता है कि ये सही है नहीं, जो भी वहां पे लिखा हुआ है। अगर हम वहां लिख के रखे लाइक आई इज लेस देन 10, तो वो चेक करेगा कि क्या ये सही है या नहीं है। अगर वो सही होगा तो फॉर लूप के अंदर का जो स्टेटमेंट होगा वो एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगा। एंड उसके बाद अपडेट वाले पार्ट में जहां उसके वैल्यू चेंज करने के लिए हमने कुछ लिखा होगा, वो अपडेट पार्ट पे जाएगा, वहां पे उसका वैल्यू चेंज होगा। देन अगेन वो कंडीशन चेक करेगा कि वो कंडीशन जो हमने लिखा है वो सही है या नहीं। अगर वो कंडीशन सही हुआ तो वापस से फॉर लूप के अंदर वाला स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट होगा। ये प्रोसेस तब तक चलते रहेगा जब तक जो कंडीशन है वो फॉल्स नहीं हो जाता। जैसे ही वो कंडीशन फॉल्स हो जाएगा तो स्टेट फॉर लूप के बाहर जो स्टेटमेंट होगा वो फिर से एग्जीक्यूट होगा। मींस जो रहेगा वो फॉर लूप के बाहर आ जाएगा और उसके बाहर वाला स्टेटमेंट एग्जीक्यूट होगा। दैट्स द बेस्ट आई कैन एक्सप्लेन इट इन हिंदी। आर्यन, डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड इट? ओके, थैंक यू।
So, guys, I'll just like to add some more. I have heard the whole discussion. There are certain things that probably you should understand. Number one, these 3 slots that you get in for loop, they are not really that sacred. Okay, the only thing that matters is the second slot. The second slot, if you leave it blank like this, okay, if you leave it blank like this, it's interpreted like this. That is the only thing that is different. Okay, so if you do not give a condition, it basically means it is going to be true all the time. Okay, so that is one problem. You can still, as some people have said, you can still use a break statement to break out of this loop. But if you do not use a break statement, this loop, it doesn't matter whatever is written in the body, this loop will run infinitely if you are not using a break statement within this, right? Because this condition one will always be true. So this is the idea. If you write it like this, it gets interpreted like this. So that is the only point. Now the other 2 slots, here and here, basically what, someone's mic is on, I guess. Okay. So what happens is, these 2 statements, there is nothing sacred about it. Like, you can basically put any valid C statement here. Okay, so it's not necessary that this has to be an initialization statement and this has to be an update statement. The only thing that is, so you can write, for example, anything here, A equal to B at this point. Okay, or and here you can say printf xyz. You can write printf here at this point. The only thing that differs between this slot and this slot is exactly when they are executed. This slot gets executed only once. Okay, the initialization slot, it will be executed only once before your loop's body is run for the first time. Whereas this slot will be run every time your loop body finishes. So this is why I want you guys to understand the flow, that this is basically the flow. As soon as a particular iteration ends, this statement will be executed first, then it will go back to the condition. It will check if the condition is true. If the condition is true, you go inside the loop's body again. So this is why, and by the way, you can update the variable that you are using here to create a condition inside the loop body as well. You can probably leave this as blank, and you can do I plus plus inside the loop, similar to how we do it in while loop, right? In while loop we don't have this slot. So in while loop, what we do, we update the variable within the loop's body itself. So you can always do the same with for as well. Okay, so this is the overall idea. There's nothing sacred about these two slots. The only thing that is different is when they are executed. Okay, they are basically a kind of uh, convenience for you. So for it has a very compact syntax where they realize that this is the most common things that people want when they are running a loop. They would probably like to initialize certain variables. They would like a particular condition to be checked every time before the loop gets executed, and they would probably want to update certain variables that are going to affect the condition. So that is why, what you get is, you basically get a compact syntax to write three different things at the same place, but you can always use these slots to do something else. Okay, usually it is a bad idea to do that, but it is not illegal. Okay, so this is the idea. Yeah, okay, now you guys can take up from here.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, in update part, if we write plus plus I or I plus plus, the answer will be same. No, sir.
Yes, 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 yes. The As I said, right? If you write I plus plus or plus plus I in isolation, right? Then it doesn't matter. Okay. The only thing when it matters is, I was thinking about how to explain plus plus I and I plus plus. So it is like this. Let us, let us become. You'll have to start thinking from the perspective of a compiler. Okay. So your brain is now the compiler. So how would you evaluate certain expressions? What kind of expressions you can have? You can have assignment expressions. In assignment expressions, you have an address and you have a value, and that value must go and sit at that address. So what do you need? You need two things: a place to store it, and a value that gets stored. So now how will you get the value? The value will be on the right hand side of the equal to sign, and the address will be on the left hand side of the equal to sign. So this is one way to implement or evaluate an assignment statement. Similarly, if you have a statement where the right hand side is not just a value, it is an expression. So instead of saying I equal to 5, I am saying I equal to j into k, right? So now what do you need? You have the address is I. Now you need a value that must be stored at the place of I. So now you have to calculate j into k. Now how do you calculate j into k? It is a multiplication operation. You need two numbers to multiply. Where are you going to get those two numbers? They will be available at the location of j and at the location of k. You have to bring them, you have to multiply them. This is where the plus plus I and I plus plus things get different. Okay, when you are going to use, let us say, j's value during the multiplication part, what value of j do you use? You basically go to that address, pick up the value, and then use it in multiplication. What I plus plus and plus plus I do is, they just make a difference there. They basically say, so let us say, instead of j into k, I wrote j plus plus into k. It basically is a shortcut. It says that, first do this j into k, and right after doing j into k, just increase j's value by 1. Whatever is there at the address of j, go and increase it by 1. Okay, the actual j into k doesn't get affected by it. Why? Because it is j plus plus. So it basically says, use the value of j for whatever you are trying to do, then increase it. Now if I make it plus plus j into k, what happens is, it basically says, hey, go to the j's address, increase it by 1, and then use it in your multiplication. So this is the idea. As long as your use part, okay, that is the idea. As long as you have a use part in the expression, where you have to use a particular variable's value and then do something with it, as long as it doesn't matter. Okay, so because when I say I plus plus or plus plus I, there is really no use. The only thing it is saying is increase it by 1. It is not being used anymore. For example, if I write I plus plus in the condition part, then it will matter whether you are doing plus plus I or I plus plus. But if you are doing it as an update statement, it doesn't matter. And as I said, don't be too much worried about I plus plus and plus plus I. Even if you are still confused, don't worry about it. Over a period of time, when you'll start writing more code, when you'll start seeing more code, okay, um, then you will understand. Then you will understand why what is the difference. It is usually just a shortcut for lazy programmers. Okay, you can always do all of your work. So if you are writing a program, you are not required to use I plus plus and plus plus I. Keep this in mind. Okay, if you are writing a program, it is not required to use plus plus I and I plus plus. There is no situation where it is required for you to do this. It is a shortcut, and you should only use the shortcut if you understand how the shortcut works. The problem that people face is when you see certain questions where you are asked for an output, that if this is the query, what is the output. That I have already told you, I am not going to ask in exams. I'm not interested in checking your C proficiency. There will be certain I want you guys to learn C during the labs, but during a theory exam, I'm not going to ask you all these things, right? Don't be worried if you're not understanding what is plus plus I and I plus plus. It's just that it is a shortcut. And do go back and look at the slide that I have made for you. Okay, in that slide I have explained that what is the difference between, say, plus plus j into k and j plus plus into k. Okay, I have written what it means. Okay, the order changes. So keep this in mind. Okay, don't get too much carried away by plus plus operator. uh, no, Prabhav. I can't give you a coding question. Maybe if you were in the campus, I would have certainly given you some question to code. But in an online exam, I don't want to. Google Forms. I will use Google Forms. You cannot press enter, I think, in there. So if it is simple text box, you can have uh, descriptive answers type questions, but I'm not going to give that. So it will be a simple objective type MCQ type paper, so you don't have to write code.
Can you give us the examples? Some
uh,
examples.
ex- Example of what?
Example of questions.
Questions will be like some concept. For instance, I will include certain questions from your bash and first week 0 things. So for example, I will say um, uh, some question. What could it be like? Bias performs the which of the following tasks are performed by bias, and then I'll give you 4 options. You have to select all that apply. Okay, so there are like 4 options and you have to select, okay, this is done by bias, this is done by bias, something like this. This is a simple question. In C it would be um, you know uh, so for example, there could be a question on this question 2a and 2b, something related to this. So I might say, are these two equivalent or they are different, something like this. Okay, these kind of questions you are going to get. Okay, yeah, no
Okay,
lab
thank you.
today. No lab today, sorry. Didn't I uh, I forgot to tell you guys. No, I did write a mail, right, that there are no labs this
Yes, sir,
week.
you did. You
Yes,
did.
Yeah,
sir.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I forget. Yeah, so there are no labs. I unfortunately there is it's out of my hand. I already prepared the questions, but the TAs are not free, so we won't have the labs. So what I'll do is I'll send those questions to you. I have to still make the solution. So before sending a paper to you, I code it myself, and so because I need to know how much time does it take to code it. So I'll have to sit and write the code for the Wednesday lab. Once I have written that code, once I am satisfied that it is doable, then I will send both the problems to you guys, and you have to do it by tomorrow and send it to your Okay, not TAs, but I'll create a classroom on Google Classroom. I have not yet done it, but I will do it.
You see.
Khush, you have a query? No.
I have a query.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we use if we use like two or more conditional like operations inside a for loop without
Mhm.
like logical and logical or operator, so is it like gives an error, or
It will
is it
give you an error. It has
executable
to be
like?
it has to be one statement. Okay, there cannot be multiple
Okay,
statements. It has to be one statement. If you want multiple conditions, you will have to use and or something like that.
okay.
It has to be one statement only. It cannot be multiple statements. It is true for all the three slots. If you want to initialize more than one variables, you can use comma. Comma would basically can be used to chain multiple assignments together, but you cannot have I equal to 0 semicolon j equal to 0. That is not allowed. No, 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 Svanshdeep, it is not necessary. I just send one possible way. Okay, I just because that's what I said. I write the code myself before sending the questions to you, so that I convince myself that there is at least one simple and straightforward way which is doable in the amount of time I am giving to you. Right. But that is not the only way. You can do the same thing by n number of ways. Okay, what we want is that the output should be exactly the same. For the same input, the output should be exactly the same. You can do it in a different fashion as well, no issues. Okay, yeah, as Tia has already said. So Sita has a question, sorry. First value of I, where, Sita? Inside the loop? Inside? No, it as someone has said, plus plus I plus plus, it doesn't matter. If you are writing it like this, they are equivalent. Okay, the flow is exactly the same. The flow within the for loop is exactly the same as I have explained in the slides. Uh, I have explained it in the slides, by the way, so you can see exactly how the flow works. Okay, so I just have a look at it. Okay, it will. Yeah, Akshay, you have to do both the problems. Okay, you have to do both the problems, and then this we will count this as an assignment. I was telling you, right, that I need some more components in the theory part in order to balance whatever misconceptions I had. So we will use this for that. Okay, we will use it as some assignment. Some marks for the assignment. That's it. So do it as a. So we will consider this to be the part of your theory evaluation. That is what I'm saying. It will not be a part of your lab grade. Okay.
It's a lab question, sir.
Pardon?
Lab question, sir.
So actually what happened, I have already prepared lab questions for you guys for this week, but the TAs are not free. So then I cannot conduct the lab. So what I will do is I will give you those two lab questions, and you will have to do it on your own as an assignment and submit it by tomorrow evening sometime. Okay, this is the idea. So usually your lab ends by 5, right? So submit it by 7 or 8. I will put some deadline that submitted by 8 p.m. tomorrow. Both the questions. Okay, because it is an assignment. That is why I'm giving both the questions. So you have to do both the questions. It's not like keep this in mind. Even though in the question paper it might say CSAI or IT or something like that, but both batches have to do both the questions. Yes, Sanskruti. Everything is like that only. You have to submit. I will just submit one zip file in the question paper. It will be two separate zip files, but submit it like one zip file. I will write it in the email when I send the two question papers. I will write it in the email that you just have to prepare one zip file and submit it. Okay. So yeah, fine. So we have some time. So let us try. Yeah. Any other queries? Not .cpp, .c, Akshay. We are not studying C++. We are studying C. Yeah, go ahead, Akshay. You have a question, I guess. Okay. Um, yeah. So .c files. Okay. Um, yeah. Any more questions? Small amount of time of lecture for homework discussion. Ah, would you guys like this? I mean, see, I've never done that. I mean, even in the lectures, I don't talk
Yes.
about. Okay. Uh, Fine. See, I have no issues with homework discussion. The only problem is we probably run out of time just discussing the regular stuff itself, right? Even though I have never given you a 1 hour lecture, I have always given you. I don't think I have given you any lecture that is greater than maybe 32 minutes or something like that, right?
Sir, in the
But
starting, sir.
yeah, no. The point is, we only have 1 hour of time now. So I have no issues with discussing anything, right? The Gaurav, see, I have already, once Indra ma'am actually gave me a call at the time of her class. So since then, I'm trying my best to curtail the amount of extra time I take. In the beginning, my classes used to go up to 1.5 hours, but I'm trying to pull back because I cannot. Intrude in someone else's time. They might complain. So yeah, that this is the problem, Gaurav, that we only have 3 lecture slots a week. um, Earlier I had a plan, in the beginning. I thought that I will merge both the batches, so then we will get 6 slots in 1 week, right? But then I realized, 240 people, it's a bit too much, so then I thought, no, I will have to break it like that. um, so that is why, I still get only 3 hours. And basically, this in this flipped classroom mode, we are using up these 3 hours for tutorials, because we don't have any slot for tutorials here. We only get 3 hours of lecture time. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this concept. So in many universities, like in IITs, they have two different types of lecture slots per week. So basically, in a typical subject, in a typical undergraduate subject, you have either 2 hours of lecturing and 1 hour of tutorial, or 3 hours of lecturing and 1 hour of tutorial. Tutorial is basically the place where you ask doubts. Lecture is basically the place where the professor speaks and you simply listen. Okay, so this is a common, uh, a common, what can I say, a common schedule that is observed in many universities. Here we don't have a different slot for tutorials. So basically, the 3 hours of lecture is essentially the time we get in a week. So this is why what I try to do is I try to give you guys the lectures over the weekend, so that you can watch them, and then we get 3 hours of tutorial time. And you can see that even these 3 hours are not enough. You can see that, sometimes, many a times, it happens that we run out of time, and we have not yet discussed everything. So that is why, I would love to discuss homeworks with you guys. But as I said, right, we don't have so much of bandwidth available for us. If we were in the campus, I would have probably, stayed back in the evening with you guys, and we could have had discussions every day. But here because I also know you guys are very busy. Your schedule is made in such a way that you are busy throughout the week. So I don't want to put even more pressure on you. Okay. Yeah, I know. Uh, Yashwardhan. The problem is, right, we cannot assume this. This is the issue. If on some particular day I switched to Google Meet, and then even one student could not attend the lecture, I will get an email that my teaching has some problems. So this is the only problem, right? Because people join, people leave throughout the lecture. So I hate WebEx as much as you guys do. Okay. It's just that I'm kind of being forced to use WebEx.
Okay, so but sir, like participant count is sometimes it doesn't even cross 90. So
I know, Yashwandan. I mean, see, I tell you what happened. The previous course that I offered in Triple IT Lucknow, the first course, that was basically a B.Tech third semester course. It's called Advanced Programming Languages, and I was supposed to teach them Java in about 14 or 15 lectures. So I prepared my content. I taught them. Then I started getting requests from the other section that they also want to audit it. It was told to me that MTech people also want to audit the course. Then, one fine day I realized that the count has gone beyond 100. So then I thought, okay, I'll have to switch to WebEx. Fortunately, so many people never turned up, okay, on one single day. So and because my actual class strength for which I was teaching, that was only 75. So I could basically say that I don't care for the auditors. Auditors can be up to 25, but my actual class can always join. Something like this, right? I mean, this was the idea I had in my mind. Fortunately, it never happened. It never happened that I had more than 100 people, so I never had to switch from Meet to WebEx. But the problem here is my actual class strength is 120. So I cannot assume that at least 20 people will be absent. So these are some of the academic constraints I have with me. That is the problem.
okay, sir.
Yeah, I don't worry. If it is possible, I will kick out WebEx the day I can. It's just that I cannot.
Yes, we know.
Okay. Uh, yeah, go ahead. So let us just discuss this part first. The question two A and 2B. Let us have a discussion on this, Shepherds. Shepherds, question 2A and 2B.
Okay, so let me start this. For question number 2, first part is for I is equals to 0. This is the initialization part which we have been talking about in the first question. I less than 10 is the condition part, and I plus plus is the increment or the update part we have been talking about. So in the first part of second question, the loop will run 10 times from I is equals to 0 to I is equals to 9. Like if we print the value of I from 0 to 9, we'll get all the values of I printed, and it will work as first the initialization of I will be equal to 0. We check the condition that 0 is less than 10. Yes, it is.
Shreya, there is a question. There is a semicolon at the end of for. This is the point.
Oh, acha, I'm so sorry, sir. I just overlooked it. I'm so sorry. Yes,
Yeah. So the
so
idea is to discuss what is the repercussions of putting that semicolon.
sorry, sir. Could you please repeat what you just said? My
So
bad.
so the idea of this question is, how does this semicolon, the one that I have highlighted, how does this semicolon affect this particular scenario? Like, this is the actual question.
Okay. Sir, I'm not really sure about it, but I guess it will run as an infinite loop. Please, any Shepherd, if you can correct me, please do that because I'm not
Sir,
really
I'm
sure.
also not aware about it. Actually, in I learned Java in my school, so that used to give compilation error in BlueJ. In C, I don't know, maybe uh, it will also give error or it won't. Since it doesn't have body, it won't run actually. I mean, it will just
Uh,
read the values and semicolon, it will
As
jump
for
to the next
Sir,
statement.
what I think that it will reproduce output as I is equals to 11.
Uh, 11 by.
Why?
guys, as for
Because
B part will be infinite, as 0 is always less than 10, so it will keep running, I guess.
No, we are talking about the first part.
What I
So I
think is
think
Okay,
that
Gaurav
I'm sorry.
has given the answer, guys. You can read it and then discuss it.
Okay, so the loop will run for 10 times and there will be no output basically. Uh, I'm actually not sure about this and I do not want to mislead the
Okay,
conversation.
okay.
Please.
So if any of the shepherds are like aware of it, it's fine. Otherwise, Gaurav, you can explain what that sentence means, what that statement means, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Because we all know that whenever for loop is there and one statement has to be executed, then no braces are required. That's why if we compare it to not writing the braces and then leaving the space and then putting up the semicolon after that, it will just iterate for the 10 of the rounds and then semicolon will be followed. So space means skipping all the iteration. That's why nothing will be happening and an iteration will just go by printing the by like kind of skipping rounds.
So is it clear, guys? I mean,
Sir,
yeah, go ahead.
sir, actually, I have a doubt. What happens because we did not specify the data type of I in both the questions?
Oh yeah, so that's then yeah, just assume it is int based. So basically, as I said, right, I come from the old school, so I define all my variables at the top. So basically, just assume that int I was declared on the top. It's okay. You can put int I here as well. There is no point. It is exactly the same. Yeah. Whose mic is it? Sunny? Okay, it's okay. You were singing, I guess. Fine. So yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
So
It's okay.
leaving the space is equivalent to continuing hold the loop, na?
Sorry, Gaurav, I lost you in between.
Sir, if we don't put anything inside the for loop, inside the body of the for loop, then it is equivalent to skipping it, na?
Um, so if you don't put anything inside the loop, it is like this, right? The difference between the two, 2A and 2B, is that in 2A, the loop will still run. Nothing will happen, right? So basically, uh, semicolon is a kind of null statement or empty statement. Okay? So basically, we say that semicolon means do nothing. This is the idea. Okay, you can write a number of semicolons in your program. It simply means do nothing, right? So what happens is if I write this loop like 2A, essentially I'm saying, run this loop 10 times but do nothing. So then it will be executed, but then right after that, whatever is the next statement, that gets executed. So your compiler will actually execute it. It's just that it doesn't make any sense. You will not realize that something got executed because there is really no computation going on there, other than maybe the value of I, right? So if, for example, I remove this int from here, and so I change the scope of I to be the scope of the function. So then you can, if you put a printf, here, okay, and you try to check what is the value of I, it will be 10. This is the idea.
So what is the exact use of it?
uh it is not, so it is usually not used. It is a mistake that students make when they are writing code, especially the beginners. Many a times they put a semicolon at the end of for, and they expect that, and they are not sure what is happening. They just don't understand what just happened. Why isn't their code running? um, Basically the problem is they just don't realize that they have created an infinite loop. So now let me tell you, in this particular case,
Answer one
2A,
question.
it is not an infinite loop. It is still a finite loop, but it's just that, let us say you have a statement like this here, uh, you know print f something like this. Now, usually, And if this semicolon was a mistake, this one, then you will expect that something will be printed 10 times, but it will only be printed once. And then you will wonder what happened. This is why is this loop not running? What you don't realize is that this printf is not a part of this loop at all. Okay, this loop has just one statement, and that is the null statement. So basically, after the control exits this loop, it will print this printf statement only once. So this is the idea, right? This is more of a pitfall that people make while they are, while they are writing new, when they are new to programming. This is a common pitfall that you will put a semicolon at the end of your loop, and then you simply don't understand what is going on. So this is the problem. The second part, 2b, that is an infinite loop. Why? Because here, you're basically not updating I at all, and because the body of I is a null statement, there is no way that I will get updated at all, right? Here, because I is getting updated after some time, when I reaches 10, the loop will terminate. But here I remains 0 and the loop keeps on running. This is the problem with 2b. Okay, is it clear now, guys?
Sir, if we print the value of I, then it will print 10, right?
If we print the
Value of I after this for statement, then it will print
I,
10. Yes, sir.
it will print 10 in this case, right? Here it will print, here nothing will be printed because this is infinite loop.
Sir, it
Is it
will
clear?
go to the sir, it will go to the semicolon each time, or if the condition is wrong, then only it will go to that semicolon.
No, it will, if the condition is wrong, you come out of the loop. Okay, you stay in the loop till the condition is true. So it will go to that semicolon, it realize semicolon means do nothing, then it will go back to the update. Any more confusions related to this? Why is 2b an infinite loop but 2a is not an infinite loop?
Just please.
Okay, uh, Sita, what is it? uh, I'm not sure what your question is, Sita. uh,
So my question is that in second case can't I can be print as 0 because
what can be printed as 0?
I
In second case, no. So basically, in second case, you will never come to any statement after this. So basically, if whatever you write here, that will never be executed. That is the idea,
okay.
right? So because you will never come out of this loop at all. This, you will be stuck in this loop. This is the idea. That is what an infinite loop looks like. You get stuck in the loop. You never exit the loop at all. That is an infinite loop. Okay. Prefix operator. Um. So it's like this. How does a prefix? So first of all, this right to left and left to right thing, that it only is, we only talk about associativity if we are evaluating an expression which has two operators which have the same precedence. Okay, associativity, right to left and left to right, they are only they only come into picture when you have two operators in the same expression, and you have to choose which one to pick first, and which one to pick first. The first thing that the compilers look precedence. So if you have two operators in the expression, one is having a higher precedence over the other, then there is no problem, right? I mean, you simply do the higher precedence operator first and then the lower precedence. But when you have two operators of the same precedence, you have to figure out which one should be evaluated first, one or the right one. So then, okay, for a particular precedence, let me repeat this. For a particular precedence precedence tier, I would say. Okay, you have to decide the associativity, that will I evaluate them from left to right or will I evaluate them from right to left. Now exactly why do we have this for the prefix operator? When we read about pointers, there is another operator that is going to come into picture. Okay, there is an asterisk operator. It is not the same as multiplication. There is, in point, pointers use asterisk as something else. So then you will realize why we need to do this from right to left instead of left to right. Okay, what is the need? Because basically, um, you have to first find an address and then you do something over it. This is the idea. So don't worry about it. Once we have done pointers, you will understand why for that tier we have right to left and not left to right. But for now, that is why I said right in the beginning, uh, mostly it is left to right. There are some exceptions for right to left, and that prefix operator is an exception. And so we'll talk discuss it when once we have done pointers. So okay, any more comments? So I hope this one is clear now. This part is clear. And by the way, this same problem is here also. I have seen this code that someone sent it to me over email. This was the problem with that person's code. This too is a infinite loop. This one, this is also an infinite loop. Why? Because um, you have given a value to num, and you are checking while num is greater than 0 because 5 is greater than 0, and then again there is a null, there is a semicolon after it. It's a null statement, right? So basically, your loop will never terminate because num is 5, it is greater than 0, so you will get stuck. You will never actually reach here. This is the problem. So this infinite loop thing, it is not only applicable with for, it is also applicable with while. Okay, with do while this problem doesn't come. Why? Because with do while, braces are necessary. Okay, so you cannot have something like this, do while num is greater than 0. This, sorry, this 2 is small. This is not valid. This will give you a syntax error. You need to do this. Okay, and the moment you do this, you will realize, oh, my loop's body is empty. Okay, so this is another reason why do while might actually be a good loop, that you are not allowed to skip braces when it comes to do while. You can skip braces with for and while if you have a single statement in the loop, but with do while you have to give this.
Sir, if we leave the body of the do while loop empty, then it will run infinite, right?
Yeah. Of course, it will run infinite. But as I said, right, we are talking about mistakes. Okay, so what this is usually not done. Uh, you know, this is usually not done by programmers knowingly. It is usually done by mistake, right? This as well as this, as well as this. Okay, so these are mistakes. These are pitfalls. I am saying, right? What I'm saying is that with do while, this pitfall is not easily possible. Okay, you will see that there is nothing between two braces. Okay, but with for and while, it is a very common mistake, right? Especially with beginners, you will simply put a semicolon and you won't realize that I have put a semicolon there, and then it will go into, either it will not behave as you expect, or it will become an infinite loop. So this is usually a problem. I'm just trying to tell you that this is a common pitfall when people write code. Okay, and yeah, any more queries? We have already run out of time, but I we so by the way, tomorrow we are going to discuss 4.3, that is switch case, and along with switch case we also have the break statement and the continue statement. Continue is not really that important. I just added it for completeness, but mostly the break statement is a very important statement. So we have to discuss switch case and break tomorrow. So if I hope everything is clear today. If there are any more queries, you can of course send it to me over email, but uh, No, Ria. The condition will be checked. So this is like the case, right? So in do while, what is it? The body is executed, then the condition is checked. If the condition is true, you go back to do, so the body is executed again. So this is the problem. If the body is empty, you will come to the condition, see if the condition is true or not. If the condition is true, you will go inside the body again. Inside the body, there is really nothing, right? So you go to the condition again. So basically, you just keep on checking conditions again and again, and because there is no statement inside the do while loop which can somehow change the state as in whatever condition you have written, if it was true at the time of entering the do while loop, it will remain true. This is the idea. So that becomes an infinite loop. Yeah, Gaurav, for do while it is necessary. For do while, even with single statement, you need braces. For yeah, go
Is
ahead.
it only in C or in C plus, not in C plus plus?
I think it will be in C++ as well. It is there in Java as well, if I'm not wrong. So C, C++, Java, all three languages. With do while, you cannot, again, I mean, okay, sorry, I should not say these things, because the newer compilers, I can't trust them, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. You cannot skip the braces in do while.
Okay.
Yeah, you can try. You can just try. One of the things with programming is that your teacher is not the final word. Okay, you can always. I have done it, by the way, in B.Tech first year. Okay, I'll tell that story some other day. So the idea is, uh, your teacher is not the final call. You can always override your teacher. So you are free to override me any day by saying, no, sir, I have checked and it works. And then my word doesn't make, you know. Yeah, that is point. So my word anyhow is it can be overridden by your computer. Okay, so if you say, no sir, my version of GCC supports this, I cannot override it, right? And as I said, I have done it in my own B.Tech days in the first year itself. So I have been at your place, by the way. Okay, I will tell you that story someday when we have time. But so you guys can always override me. That is the idea. Okay. uh, so we have already run out of time. I hope you have another class at 12:15. So if you have any more queries related to for, you can send it to me over email. Otherwise, tomorrow we will start with switch case. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.